A sudden and dramatic shift in the U.S. policy landscape has sent shockwaves through the global tech industry, and its northern neighbor is positioning itself for a windfall. In a move that could reshape the landscape for high-skilled talent, Canada is rolling out the welcome mat for thousands of tech workers who may now find the door to the U.S. effectively closed. The catalyst for this shift is a stunning change to the American H-1B visa program. In September 2025, the Trump administration mandated a new fee of $100,000 for every new H-1B application. To understand the impact, you first need to understand the H-1B itself. For decades, this visa has been the main gateway for U.S. companies to hire foreign professionals in what are called specialty occupations, jobs that require a bachelor's degree or higher. Think software developers, engineers, scientists, and researchers. The tech sector in particular has relied heavily on this program to fill critical roles, with the majority of visas going to professionals from India and China. The previous fee was between $2,000 and $5,000. The new fee is a massive increase, and it applies to all new petitions filed after September 21, 2025. The White House stated the goal is to curb misuse of the program and push companies to hire American workers first. But for tech companies, especially startups, this new cost creates enormous uncertainty and a significant barrier to accessing global talent. This is where Canada sees a golden opportunity. Prime Minister Mark Carney has been direct, calling the U.S. policy change an opportunity for Canada. His government is now actively working on a clear strategy to attract the skilled tech workers who might be reconsidering their American dream. The goal is to position Canada as a stable, welcoming, and more affordable alternative for the world's best and brightest, potentially reversing its own long-standing brain drain to the United States. So, how is Canada planning to do this? It's not starting from scratch. Canada already has several well-established immigration pathways that are appealing to skilled workers. One of the main tools is the Express Entry system. It's a points-based system for those seeking permanent residency. Candidates are scored on factors like age, education, language skills, and work experience. The highest-scoring individuals are then invited to apply for permanent residency, a process that is often seen as much clearer and faster than the path to a U.S. green card. For those needing to get to work quickly, there's the Global Talent Stream. This program offers fast-track visa processing in as little as 2 weeks for workers in high-demand tech occupations. It's designed specifically to help Canadian companies bring in the talent they need without long delays. Then there are the Provincial Nominee Programs, or PNPs. These allow individual provinces to nominate immigration candidates who have the specific skills and experience their local economies need. Provinces like British Columbia and Ontario have specific tech draws that target technology professionals, often with faster processing and lower score requirements than other immigration streams. Canada has seen success with this kind of targeted recruitment before. In 2023, it launched a special program offering open work permits to H-1B holders already in the U.S. The program was incredibly popular, reaching its cap of 10,000 applications in less than 2 days. But Canada isn't the only country looking to capitalize on this moment. The U.S. policy change has intensified what many call the global war for talent. Nations in the Middle East, like the UAE and Saudi Arabia, are investing heavily to become hubs for artificial intelligence, offering high salaries and long-term golden visas. European countries like Germany and the UK are also adjusting their policies to attract top professionals. And in Asia, China and South Korea are rolling out new visa programs to lure STEM experts. Canada's main advantages in this fierce competition are its proximity to the U.S., shared time zones, and that clear, often faster path to permanent residency. However, it may not be a guaranteed win for Canada.
The country has recently been taking steps to scale back its overall immigration targets for 2025 and beyond, aiming to ease pressure on housing and infrastructure. Furthermore, some of its own fast-track programs, like the Global Talent Stream, can have high mandatory salary requirements, which could be a hurdle for smaller Canadian startups. There's also the risk that some tech workers may view Canada as a temporary holding tank, a place to wait and work while keeping an eye on the possibility of U.S. immigration policies changing once again. The situation is still unfolding.
The United States has created a major disruption in the flow of global tech talent. Canada has responded with a clear message: it's open for business. The coming months will show how many of the world's brightest minds decide to take them up on that offer. An action taken 5 years ago has now cost nearly 20 FBI agents their jobs. On Friday, September 26, 2025, the Bureau fired more than a dozen agents, among them several who were photographed kneeling during the racial justice protests of 2020. The decision has triggered an uproar over due process, political pressure, and the direction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency. To understand the controversy, rewind to June 2020. Protests filled streets nationwide after the killing of George Floyd. In Washington, D.C., then-President Donald Trump and Attorney General William Barr deployed federal officers, including agents from the FBI's Washington field office, to protect federal property. A 2024 Justice Department review later found those agents were ill-equipped and lacked clear guidance for riot control. During one tense encounter, several agents knelt. According to a former agent, the gesture was not a political statement, but a split-second de-escalation tactic that helped disperse the crowd and keep everyone safe. Conservatives condemned the images, others praised them. Director Christopher Wray ordered an internal review, which concluded no policy had been broken. No one was disciplined. Fast forward to 2025. Under new director Kash Patel, the Bureau reopened the case. This spring, many of the same agents were reassigned or demoted, and on Friday, termination letters arrived, citing lack of judgment dating back to that moment on the street. Reaction was immediate. The FBI Agents Association called the firings unlawful, accusing Patel of a dangerous new pattern that ignores due process rights and drains the Bureau of experienced investigators. The group urged Congress to intervene. Legal battles quickly followed. 3 former senior agents have sued, alleging they were dismissed to please the White House and punish perceived opponents of President Trump. Their complaint claims Patel privately admitted that targeting agents for the cases they handled was likely illegal, but that he felt pressure from both the Justice Department and the Oval Office. The FBI, citing personnel rules, has refused to discuss individual cases. Testifying on Capitol Hill, Director Patel denied receiving any firing lists from the White House and insisted each dismissal reflected failure to meet Bureau standards. Critics see a broader pattern. Since taking office, Patel has overseen what some employees describe as a personnel purge that has battered morale and chilled internal dissent. Supporters counter that he is holding agents accountable and restoring public trust. These competing narratives about a knee on a D.C. street in 2020 and about alleged political meddling in 2025 now converge in courtrooms and congressional hearing rooms. As lawsuits proceed and lawmakers weigh investigations, the stakes go beyond the fates of the fired agents. They touch on how the FBI balances discipline with fairness, how it shields itself from political winds, and how a single split-second choice can reverberate for years. The full impact of these firings on the Bureau, its workforce, and public confidence has yet to play out. What is clear is that an image meant to calm a volatile protest has ignited a fresh storm over the independence of American law enforcement. For nearly 34 years, a single night in Austin, Texas, has haunted families, detectives, and an entire city. Now, a breakthrough in modern DNA testing has finally attached a name to the crime.
though not a day in court. On December 6, 1991, firefighters responding to a blaze at an I Can't Believe It's yogurt shop made a horrific discovery. Inside lay 4 teenage girls: 13-year-old Amy Ayers, 17-year-old Eliza Thomas, and sisters Jennifer, 17, and Sarah Harbison, 15. Jennifer and Eliza were closing the store. Sarah and her friend Amy had stopped by for a ride home. Each girl had been bound, gagged, and shot in the head. The fire, set to destroy evidence, left 3 of the victims almost unrecognizable and plunged Austin into decades of grief and unanswered questions. Early leads went nowhere, and frustration grew. Then, in 1999, police arrested 4 young men: Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, Maurice Pierce, and Forrest Wellborn. Springsteen and Scott confessed, implicating themselves and the others, and both were convicted. Almost immediately they recanted, saying the confessions had been coerced during marathon interrogations. Over time, cracks in the case widened. The confessions conflicted with each other and with physical evidence. The decisive shift came with advancements in DNA analysis. In the late 2000s, testing on crime scene evidence revealed the profile of an unknown male, one that matched none of the 4 men behind bars. Their convictions were overturned, and by 2009, all charges were dropped. The investigation returned to square one, leaving the victims' families with no answers and Austin with a chilling cold case. That changed on September 26, 2025. Austin police announced they had identified the source of that unknown DNA: Robert Eugene Braziers. A partial profile from a vaginal swab, re-examined with genetic genealogy tools, pointed straight to him. So who was Braziers? A convicted felon and serial predator with crimes spanning several states. He served time for shooting a woman in the head in 1985, and after his death, his DNA linked him to a 1990 murder in South Carolina, the 1997 rape of a 14-year-old girl in Tennessee, and the 1998 murders of a Missouri mother and her 12-year-old daughter. Braziers had no known ties to Austin, a fact that makes his appearance in this case even more startling. Yet justice in a courtroom will never follow. In 1999, the same year the wrong men were being arrested in Austin, Braziers died by suicide during a police standoff in Missouri. He was 40 years old. For the families of Amy, Eliza, Jennifer, and Sarah, the news brings a complex mix of relief and renewed sorrow. They finally know whose DNA was left at the scene, but the man responsible cannot be tried or punished. Braziers' own daughter has expressed sympathy for the victims' families, calling her father a very messed up person. Austin police say the investigation remains open. While a name now fills a 30-year-old blank, many questions may have died with Robert Eugene Braziers. Why these girls? Why this shop? And how did a serial killer with no apparent link to Austin slip in and out of the city undetected? A haunting chapter has a final, unsettling footnote. Austin at last knows who was in the yogurt shop that night, but real closure, like justice, may remain out of reach.